Dang it! Oh, we're filming? Sorry about that. Today, we're going to my northern neighbors. That's a lot of ends. So, I'm here in America. And we're going to Canada, around here. Specifically, Toronto and Montreal. Oh, by the way, this is my 6th episode. You should see my 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, and 1st so that you're all caught up. In a moment, we're going to be checking in with my Canadian correspondent, Amelia. And then after that, we're going to have 3 interviews, spicing things up, aren't we? Well, what are you waiting for? Let's go! Hi, Amelia.
Well, hello. So I'm going to first talk about Canada because there's some big news there. So our Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, his wife tested positive for the coronavirus. And at a wee charity in London, she may have spread it to Idris Elba. So basically they hugged each other because, they're friends. And after his wife tested positive for the coronavirus, Idris Elba decided to get tested. And they both tested positive.
Do some people think that he spread it to her or just that she spread it to him?
I'm not sure because she got tested before him. So I'm not exactly sure. Another cool fact, Justin Trudeau is retooling the auto industries with machines that make ventilators, masks, gloves, and other emergency equipment. And I know in the U.S., GM, General Motors, is doing that too. When I go on bike rides with my family, I see lots of people wearing masks. And I'm like, you can make your own. Doctors need those. You can take a handkerchief or fold it in a certain way and use 2 hair elastics. And then you can put the hair elastics around your ear. And then it goes like that.
I actually also have a few facts. Here in the U.S., in New York, fire department, they drive over to the hospitals, they turn on their sirens, and then they start clapping for the doctors. And they thank them for their work because they're on the front line.
Like, for the checkout, the cashiers are considered frontline workers because people need resources. And there's this really nice program I like. Like, you get paired with a doctor, and then doctors send you a grocery list, and you buy it for them and drop it off at their front porch or wherever they tell you to drop it off. I've been seeing signs that have said, thank you, frontline workers, for everything you've done. I really like that people are doing that because it kind of just makes, like, if you're a doctor, it makes you feel good that people are supporting you, Yeah. And at grocery stores, the lines are, like, so long. They go outside. And people, let's say this is a person and this is a person, they're like that far apart in the line. Like I know in Collingwood, that's in Ontario, it's a little town. They only allow 5 people in the grocery stores at a time. So.
Wow. So you have to be an early bird.
Yeah, in Ontario. That's where I live. Our Premier, Doug Ford, has decided schools will be shut down until May 4th, probably extended longer. But jobs, like workers, are being like quarantined for up to 12 weeks. In Canada, I know we have like numbers have been going up because like a few days ago it was around 10,000 cases. And now, as of April 10th, our cases are all the way up to 20,765. And our deaths we've had 509 deaths, 5,311 recoveries. So that's quite a few recoveries. But in Toronto, which is the city that I live in, there have only been 1,519 cases.
That was our Canadian correspondent, Amelia. Now it's time for our 3 different interviews with 3 very different people. Hello, Stacey.
Hello, Alexandra.
You are from Montreal, Quebec, which is the French side of Canada, correct?
That is correct.
How are you right now?
Well, the 3rd week is a lot harder than the first 2 weeks.
What is the Canadian government doing?
Well, our government in Quebec and in the rest of Canada, what we have is we have healthcare for all up here. So, that's a really great thing because at least it takes off the stress. And what the government has done is it has imposed social distancing, and it has basically told us to stay in our homes. And when we do go out, if we must go out, to go out just for the basic necessities and to keep the 6-foot distance, or as we like to say up here in Canada, the length of one hockey stick between us and other people. And we get regular updates with the scientific panel that they have there. They're able to answer questions in a very fact-based way to keep people calm and informed.
How is this affecting people that are artists and are working in companies where you have to be face-to-face with others?
Well, as you can imagine, anybody who's in any kind of job that requires face-to-face, especially theater artists or musicians or anybody in the arts that needs an audience. And one thing that this virus has made us all aware is how many occupations need the face-to-face contact in order to function. Well, all of those professions have been shut down. All the festivals have been shut down. All the theater companies have been shut down. So basically everything is at a stop. And that means that a lot of people are out of work. So when you think how many people are involved in any kind of performance, there are the actors, the director, the designers, the technicians, all the support people, the production managers, the stage managers. There are whole teams of people that are involved, plus all the people in the office. So all of these people are out of work. And so it's going to have a very big economic impact on our community. I think right now the most important thing is we've got to remember that safety is the most important thing, and for everybody, even though we're all going through a very difficult time, to hunker down, to keep safe, to not get sick. People are doing right now is people are doing online play readings. They're releasing some of their material online, which is great, but it doesn't take the place of the live contact. And right now, the government has been very supportive, setting up programs where we can get money from the government that's supposedly going to go into our account very quickly. In our company, we're ready to go. I mean, we are acting as if in 2 or 3 months, everything's going to be okay and we're going to start rehearsing.
Hi, Nadine. You are in Toronto, Ontario, correct?
Yes, I am.
What's going on there right now?
So we've all been in isolation in our homes for about 4 weeks. But in general, although everyone's obviously kind of going crazy, getting used to the new normal, I do personally feel like things are going pretty well here. I feel like Canada is doing pretty okay. It's been really heartening to see is the government is coordinating really well together. So it's really been a nonpartisan response. There hasn't been any annoying politics injected into it. All levels of government seem to be cooperating really well, which is heartening and I think is really reassuring to everybody. For instance, here in Ontario, where I am, we have a premier who is known to be a bit populist, more right-wing, and our federal government is liberal. And like a year ago when they were campaigning, they were kind of at each other's throats, but ever since this happened, they've been getting along really well. They are working totally in sync. They have daily phone calls, and they only say good things about each other. And I think for, at least personally, I feel like, and everyone I speak to kind of feels like it's just reassuring to see that the government is actually getting stuff done instead of arguing and playing politics, On the less good side of things, Ontario is apparently behind in testing, especially compared to provinces like BC has been doing a really good job. And I think Quebec also, at least with the testing side, things are worse in Quebec, unfortunately. But that said, I think that's just kind of within Canada on the whole. I think Canada is doing okay for testing. I remember reading like 2 weeks ago or so that Canada had actually done more absolute number of tests than all of the states.
You are a pharmacist, right, Nadine?
Yes, I am, yeah.
How is this affecting you or your colleagues?
So I'm actually on leave right now, so I feel very fortunate that I'm not there right now because I know it is actually a very stressful time. I even feel a little bit guilty. Obviously, they're front line, so it's a bit scary, just like, a grocery store worker, you're face-to-face with people. One thing they've done is they've put up plexiglass. I think maybe you guys have that down there now in the grocery stores and pharmacies to just have a physical barrier. Maybe what is most stressful right now is that there's a lot of drug shortages. So just like, or at least maybe I wouldn't go as far as saying shortages. It's not that the drugs are unavailable, but that there's high demand and that therefore it's hard for everyone. It's basically like the toilet paper thing. So what they've done here for that is the government has asked us to only give 30-day supplies. One thing that's interesting is because of all the talk about hydroxychloroquine? Yeah, hydroxychloroquine being a potential, as well as azithromycin being a potential cure for COVID. There's been a big shortage of that, and it's not proven to work for COVID yet, but it is proven to work for many other conditions like lupus. So those patients and customers of ours are now starting to have a bit of difficulty getting their meds that they need for their condition. So that's a bit scary for them.
Hi, Julia.
Say hi to Alexandra, Julia. Teddy. She says she sees your teddy bear. She said Teddy. And Julia's the reason why I'm on leave. I'm very fortunate because in Canada, the year before I had her, the leaves got extended from 1 year to 18 months. So she's 16 months right now, and I'll be going back to work in 2 months.
Hi, Ryan. You work in HR for Global Financial Company. What does HR stand for?
Oh, it stands for Human Resources.
You've been preparing for coronavirus since January, which is quite early, in my opinion. Can you tell us about your preparing and how it's worked so far?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a lot of work. It's been really busy. So our organization has some companies that are really close to China and in that Asian region, and so obviously they were impacted very early. And then in Canada, we have a lot of presence in Canada and the United States. And really, especially with Toronto, we have a very multicultural population here. And with the Lunar New Year in China, people were coming back, and so Toronto was really very aware of this in February. And if you remember in the US around that same time, the media was all focused on the impeachment process. And so I think the US wasn't quite following that story as closely as we were in Canada, but the preparations were still going on the same way on both sides of the border. And in terms of what we've been doing, I mean, we really try to work closely with all of the, we have a chief medical director that we work really closely with, and we follow public health, and it's really about trying to keep all of the people who are still working safe.
How are you working now? Are you working online or what?
It's a great question. So very early, in terms of the early preparation, we understood that we were going to have a lot of people who needed to start working remotely. And right now, anybody who can work remotely, we're having them work from home. And that's really supporting what all of the governments in all of the different countries that we operate in are suggesting, right? We really want that physical distancing. So that actually takes a lot of work from different areas. So our IT department, so our information technology group, started working back in January to make sure that we'd have the capacity, and we had to make sure we got sort of laptops out to everyone that wouldn't normally work from home. But my entire function, which is about 1,500 people, everybody's working from home. And so we have our video calls, and we sort of operate that way, and it's been relatively smooth. A few bumps in the road, when all of a sudden you're working from home and you've got, little coworkers that are 6 and 7 years old running around in the background. It can be a little bit harder, but everybody realizes, we're in it together, and I've never seen anybody do anything but be really gracious for, the fact that we're able to work from home. And so if you have some interruptions, you roll with it best you can.